what is light language?
The
way I see you is like an alien being on Earth.
The messages that are encoded within my DNA can communicate, can emit through light language. It's we all chose this lifetime and chose to come back to Earth at this specific time for a reason, because this is happening now. Even our consciousness is connected to something far greater and far beyond this current physical reality. That is what we connect to and unlock. We all do innately speak light language.
How do you know if it's light language, or like what if this whole time we're just speaking gibberish like little kids? So today we are revisiting an old episode of Sky Life, one that was made about 2 years ago with a woman named Heather Hoffman, aka Activation Vibration. And this video was titled, "This Woman Can Talk to Aliens," in parentheses, light language. There are different beliefs as to what light language actually is. Some people do believe that it's a type of cosmic alien language that as human beings we can kind of channel, and that our souls may be coming from different star systems, and then we're able to kind of remember the different like languages that we would speak as souls from another planet. And that's like a very out there concept. I resonate more with the understanding that light language is the channeling of feeling through sound frequency that is beyond human language. There's a lot to discuss on this topic, and also how it does relate to our place in the cosmos and our connection with extraterrestrials. I think there's a lot there that I have questions about that I want to ask her. When I went into that video, I was as fascinated and intrigued by Heather as I was skeptical about her and her claims. But after having spent a full day with her and having her really bring me into her world, I can honestly say my perspective has completely shifted. If y'all watched the first episode I did with Heather, you would have seen that I had a full-on light language activation. No part of me expected that that was what was going to happen when I did this video with Heather. And then ever since that happened, I've had it come up again, this light language thing, where that language I can actually speak whenever I really want to. Like, it's kind of like a switch. It definitely comes more when I'm in a meditative state. I, for example, did a ketamine therapy session, and then it was like word vomit where that language was like coming out. Since I've researched the miracle healings in the Christian church, and tongues is something that happens in the Christian church, and I would say light language is pretty similar to tongues in the sense that it's like channeling of sound frequency, and it's very hypnotic and trance-like, yet it's different than tongues, I would say. And there's just a lot of things that I've been trying to navigate about my own experience with this over the last 2 years, and a lot more questions that I have because there's not a lot of research on this. What was so shocking to me about the first video that we did is how terrified I was to release it. I was like, oh my God, people are gonna think I'm absolutely crazy. But there was this part of me that knew I have to post this. I just have to. And when I did, I was amazed at the response from all of you, like the amount of people who were commenting and DMing me and emailing me saying how emotionally moved they were and how much they related to it, and said, holy shit, when I watched that video, then I had my own light language activated. And I think because of that, it made me want to dive into this deeper again. So I'm going back today to see Heather. Not only are we going to have a full-on in-depth conversation about it, but we are also going to do another light language activation together and see if we can actually like translate what we're saying to each other. Let's go down that rabbit hole. Hello, mister? Hello, Sekhmet, do you remember me? Yes, Sekhmet. No, you're not gonna go outside. You're gonna stay with us and play. This didn't make the last video, but when we did the sound healing last time, this cat laid on my knees, and I had really fucked up knees. Like, they were really damaged from lots of soccer and running, always like creaky, and Sekhmet laid on my knees and purred the entire sound healing, and I swear to God, I had new knees after. Hello.
I only greet people in light language now. Just kidding.
I'm like, what do I say back? Yay!
Hello.
Oh my gosh, segment saying hi
that's his greeting dragon call.
Wow. This is long overdue.
I know.
The people have been asking.
They have hello. It's good to see the people. It's good to see you.
Yeah.
People through you. I feel an energy. I feel a glow, a different essence about you.
Wow.
You feel very good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel amazing. I'm so excited to dive into this topic because
Same.
since I saw you last, since the last video, this has come up so many times in my evolution.
I'm excited to
Wow.
hear it. Sekmet's agreeing. He's very excited about it too. He feels the frequency.
What do we want to start with?
I say we tap in.
Yeah.
Let's tap in. I think
Okay.
it's time to unveil the awareness behind light language. I think we actually tap in about it.
Oh yeah, we're gonna go deep. There's a lot to unpack.
Great.
Do you want to make some elixirs first?
Absolutely.
Yes!
Absolutely.
All right, Heather, I'm taking over your kitchen.
Please do.
We're doing elixir bar. Woo! By
Anima Mundi!
which I went through your cupboards and I saw you also have Anima Mundi.
I do. Maybe like 8 or 9 bottles, you know?
Just casual.
Casually.
It's the best stuff. It's incredible. Okay, so we're gonna do a little elixir for mental clarity and cognition and glowing skin. And a little euphoria mood booster for just like that bliss.
Okay.
vibe.
Okay. Feels like I'm taking like a magical potion.
Exactly. It's incredible. It has
Shazandra? That's like the beauty herb. It's said that if you take Shazandra for 100 days straight, it makes you more beautiful for the rest of your life, actually. It's like an ancient Chinese proverb.
Okay, well, 100 days straight, I'm doing it. So here's the collagen booster. I pretty much do this every day. I'm all about that tight skin. And then this is the one for like cognitive function, just so we're sharp during our interview, you know?
Perfect.
Yeah, this is really like the key ingredient. I put this every morning into my morning elixir, and it just like really does something to the joy levels. This mug is incredible. Where did you get this?
It was gifted actually by a fairy man. He was more like a wizard, but he has fairy in him too.
It really like looks like it would be gifted by a fairy man wizard. Here you go.
Thank you, beautiful. Are you sure? I think you deserve to have this
No,
one.
you take that one.
I have this cup at my house, so you deserve to have this
What?
one. Yes.
Thank
It's
you.
perfect, of course. Sending love, charging it with creation, happiness, gratitude, bliss, connection. May this go to all the right places, make us feel so good, healthy, happy, vibrant, and to share and give knowledge to others. Thank you, we're so grateful, and so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You smell good.
Yes. Oh, that's delicious.
No, isn't that good?
It is delicious.
Yay!
A perfect little potion.
Our little potion. Okay, to the portal.
To the portal.
Oh, that's actually really good.
It's so good.
Holy shit, Heather. We have so much to talk about.
no, I'm excited. It's about time.
Thank you to Anima Mundi for sponsoring this video. If you guys want to get yourself some Anima Mundi goodies, then you can use my code SKY for 15% off. The link's in the video description. Just go treat yourself. Okay, Heather. I have so many questions for you because since the last time we did a video together, the light language part of my life has expanded. It wasn't a one-time thing. It's like that day something got activated within me. There was this remembrance that happened that I cannot explain, and it's something now that I can speak anytime I want to, like a light switch.
Amazing. Amazing. And you can probably like utilize it to regulate emotions without even necessarily knowing. Like if you naturally feel called to speak light language at certain points, you're probably plugged in to where your system is naturally regulating to where you're using it actually as a form of expression and healing.
Yes, I definitely feel that way. It's like when I'm speaking it, it feels so good in my body. It almost feels like a form of self-healing.
Yes.
So when I did ketamine therapy, which was a total guided experience with a therapist and a nurse present.
Okay.
It was medical grade and medically supervised ketamine therapy.
Wow.
And it came so strongly during that session where I literally couldn't even like control, like it was flooding out of my mouth, and it was almost movements were coming out of my body, and it felt like I was healing my body.
Yes. Yes, yes.
And it just feels so good to speak. And that's what I really want to dive into in this interview, is unpacking really what it is and what is happening.
Yes.
Because it's such an out there topic. This is so hard to believe and so far out there.
Yes.
But it's way more practical than I think most people realize.
Totally, absolutely.
So for those who don't know, what is light language?
First off, I feel like it's almost impossible to fully define light language because it is so many different things. But if I were to conclude the essence of light language into something, I'd say it's a healing modality. It is the channel, a verbal channel of frequency and vibration through the form of sound beyond the confines of words, languages, and ego. Because essentially, instead of communicating through a specific language and a written or solidified version of words and structure of words, instead it is just an emission, an expression of frequency through sound.
That's such a great way of describing it, because that's exactly what it feels like. Is I am sharing what I'm feeling in my body and in my soul through sound and different ways of manipulating the voice that are beyond the human language I've been taught and conditioned by.
Yes.
And it almost allows you to express yourself more freely and in a more liberated way, because you are not constricted to the confines of like what language means and the meaning we put on words, which as humans we all have different meaning.
And per word, like there are certain words that have a certain meaning to someone and are completely distorted and toxic or tragic to others when they actually mean something completely different to someone else, yet it has it's the same word, it's the same meaning. There are certain connotations and there are influences and even imprints that people associate with specific words based on experiences that they have in their lives. I have a friend who, when they hear the word relax, they instantly tense up and get scared because that's how their parent used to tell them to stop, and they knew they were in trouble when the parent would scream, relax, relax. And here I'm like, relax, and they're like, that makes me tense. So it's like we all have these certain connotations and imprints with words, and with light language we can communicate far beyond that. Where I feel like too, just as you're explaining, when I have a certain message, a message that is speaking far beyond what I can take time to communicate, doing it through light language, through the frequency, through the energy, even physically emitting it, it really does feel like that, where the story of my cells, the messages that are encoded within my DNA can communicate, can emit through light language, can translate through light language, because it is far beyond just what my mind and ego has been able to comprehend as meaning. It really is a healing modality. So I'm sure years ago when people spoke of Reiki and energy healing and were holding their hands up, people would be like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. I mean, still people are like, what? Light language, I feel like, is a healing modality in a similar sense that is going to become more normalized as people become more familiar with it, and it continues to just naturally awaken out of people and from people. It's also an activation. It can also be a prayer. It can also be a blessing.
When we shot the first video together, I had no idea that was going to happen. All I knew was that I wanted to immerse myself in your world and get to know you, because you're such a fascinating being, and I feel like you are transmitting very interesting codes that are coming from somewhere. Like the way I see you is like an alien being on Earth, and I want to talk about that piece to this, like the interdimensional, extraterrestrial, cosmic piece, because that's something that I am not really understanding with my human brain.
Yeah,
It's like, well, what is the connection between extraterrestrial, or like are our soul's origin?
Right.
And is there connection to the languages that we're remembering that has to do with either past lives or our soul's journey?
Right.
So what is your thought on that? Because some people believe that these light languages coming through have origin in other planetary star systems, or that our souls are coming from another origin in the universe, coming here to Earth for whatever purpose. And then we are channeling this language that is a remembering of that. Do you see it that way?
Definitely. There definitely is a connection in the remembrance of it, where we all do innately speak light language. And it is something that all of our souls, no matter how awake or asleep or enlightened or spiritual someone is or isn't, the essence and the energy, the frequency of light language can be understood by any and everyone. In origin, we all do innately have it, absolutely. Which is why your soul felt the frequencies of it. And of course, we were just in a container to where it was safe to even do so. But I remember even when you came in, you were like, Heather, I'm not going to just start speaking light language. Like, I want you to know, Heather, I'm not going to just like pretend just start speaking some language if it doesn't happen.
I remember saying that. I did say that.
I know. But I'm like, I know. No, it's all good. Just let it happen.
Yeah.
Just let it happen. And it's like your soul knew. And again, that is really what the essence of light language is. The message, the moral of light language is acknowledging the fact that our souls, our hearts, even our consciousness is connected to something far greater and far beyond this current physical reality. And we are connected to a wisdom, to even a purpose and a mission personally, individually, all of us are. That is what we connect to and unlock when we speak light language, or when we even just position ourselves to open up to become a channel or a conduit of something like light language. It's like where you surrender the ego and you allow for God, spirit, source, the universe, whatever it is, the higher power that you connect to, your higher self, to move through you. It's like the ego gets to kind of step aside. So yeah, innately we all have this and we're all connected, and depending on the kind of question, there are different dialects with light language, and there are different star systems, and we can be from one origin, we can be from many, so we can speak one version of light language where it sounds like something specifically, or many of us can speak many forms of light language, where sometimes it's like very nasally and very like robotic sounding. Sometimes it can be very earthy and grounded sounding and deep. What our souls resonate with, essentially, that is the that's what determines it.
Wow. So much to unpack.
I know.
So first of all, as you said, I did not think that was going to happen. And I told you, like, I'm not going to pretend.
Yeah, literally, that's
like,
what I'm not going to pretend.
I'm not going to pretend this has to be real, and I'll just be open.
Yep.
And I think that's what allows for any healing to occur, or for any transformation of any kind to take place, or for your reality to shift in some way. It absolutely requires a choice to be open and to come with curiosity and non-judgment, which is the whole mission of my channel and my existence.
You do it well. You do it very well.
Thank you. So I just was open, really. And I think a key piece of this that's important to remember is that the video was only a tiny portion of actually what we shared, which was a full like activation. And the first part that was really important was you doing sound healing on me and really getting me into a trance-like state. I think that's important for anybody who is wanting to activate their light language, or they are maybe feeling like, well, I couldn't, how could that happen? It's like, it takes getting out of the analytical brain. What was really important that you did was help get me out of my analytical brain with the sound healing that we did and getting into a trance-like state. It took me a while to feel like anything was happening. I was like,
and for your soul to feel safe, essentially. That's really what it is. We're so used to being in a different state and operating in a different state day to day, to where it can take some time. And I do even hear people say when they try to initially speak light language, it feels like gibberish, or it feels like they don't know what they're doing, or they're just trying to do something. Because we are used to operating in a certain state. So your soul was getting comfortable and then also and feeling safe. And then that's what allowed for that energy, the true energy. Once we feel safe, that's where our true energy can actually take place.
And then what's really wild is I felt the energy physically coming up from my root. Like it was like I was gonna throw up. Like I could feel it like rising through my body.
Unless you spoke.
Yeah.
Unless you spoke and unless you let yourself just like release and communicate and express in that way. Your body was ready to purge and release an energy.
It was coming up and out, and the only way was through the throat. And it was like the chains broke and the floodgate opened, and then it was, and it just like, and at first I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just like, this energy just has to come out of my voice. And it was so emotional because it felt so liberating, and it felt like something I had been holding in for so long. And then even like you see in the video, I have to get up and shake my legs and like, and my body was just releasing so much. And through the sound, it was just this like sense of, wow, I feel this liberation of my voice, this freedom that I hadn't previously experienced. And it's like I knew what I was saying because I was just transmitting this frequency of what I was feeling. So people ask like, well, do you know what you were saying? I was like, well, yeah, kind of, because like it wasn't in human words, but it was a feeling that I was feeling. Exactly.
Humans can get so tied up and distracted actually by details and specifics, when in actuality, the general message is the medicine. That is where the potency is. Often we can have experiences, well, he said this specifically, or what this was it, but I saw that. Light language in that experience even specifically, it's an emission of the general actual message. So you can understand the totality, the bigger picture of what is happening rather than just the small details that actually take you into detours.
Yeah, and that's often what the analytical mind does. And it's not that that's a bad thing. I think obviously our analytical brain is so important. So important for discernment, and it's also what helps us as we're navigating the spiritual path, like discern between what is unsafe or what is BS, and then like what feels resonant to us and what really is true. And that's been a very important thing for me to have as I navigate this realm.
Definitely.
Is keeping my skeptic going.
All of us need that. Please keep that.
It's so important.
Yes.
Like,
especially in the spiritual space, because the whole thing with spirituality and awakening and enlightenment is to be open, is to trust, is to be love. And that, while that is one of the most empowering and strengthening, powerful things that you can ever do, at the same time, that makes you very open and receptive to distorted power.
Well, it becomes weaponized, and it becomes used to manipulate. And that happens all the time with these predatory gurus, is you need to trust and open and don't think about it, just feel. And that is a red flag.
Huge red flag.
For sure. If there's something going on there that is not safe, and that's very important to keep the analytical mind on the red alert while also being open. I feel like it's such a balance. Like for me, curiosity, and why that's such a big part of my mission, is being curious means that you're open and discerning. Like to me, the word curious doesn't mean like you're gullible and just like falling for anything. It's like I'm going to come with non-judgment and at the same time analyze the situation around me to determine my belief about it. I've had a lot of time to process this experience and it's very much something that I'm like, wow, yeah, like I understand it now.
It's solidified. It's solidified within you, yes.
Yeah, and to be honest, light language is not something I'm speaking constantly. Like it really does come for me in specific moments and often in meditative states, ceremonial places and spaces. At my retreat, we even had someone whose light language happened during a breath work. Totally sober, we did breath work, and then her light language came online.
Wow. That happens. That's actually, I've seen that a lot, because light language does require the specific activation of light language does require a meditative state, a trance state, and again, to just simply feel very comfortable so that your soul can feel safe and actually take the forefront rather than your ego, rather than the energy that you operate in. Once that opens up and it's like that gateway opens and the person is ready and feeling safe and receptive, it's like the light language is ready to just come through and activate and essentially anchor in another aspect, an empowered aspect of that person. Because that is one thing too. I've seen light language activate with people during medicine ceremonies while I've been hosting either breath work or even just meditation. There was one experience where individually all the women at the retreat started individually waking up and singing this light language song in a similar rhythm, all of them, and were doing motions with their hands. And afterwards, they were all like, what was that? And it was that we were all so safe and comfortable and connected in that energy and essence.
That's so fascinating. When those types of things happen, it's almost like, wow, there is this remembrance of something happening, whether it's from a past timeline of our ancestry or a future timeline of where we're evolving to, that's happening in the present, that we're activating. And I think the conversation around evolution is very interesting when it comes to the topic of extraterrestrials, because I do feel I resonate with one of the theories that some species of ETs are simply us very far evolved into the future who have unlocked time travel and are coming back and have vested interest in this time in history and other timelines in history. Because if time travel exists, like it always has existed in
all the time,
in the past, present, future, happening all in the present moment. That is very interesting when those things happen. Like I've been in ceremony with just some friends where like my friend started channeling an ancient Native American language, and we were on lands where that had been present years ago. And I think what often happens in my experience is like these things happen and they feel so real, like realer than anything. And then as soon as you kind of come out of it and you're back in just everyday life, you're like questioning it. Like, am I crazy, or what is that? Like, maybe this is just the imagination, and you question your experience because we've been so conditioned to believe it's not real.
And that we don't have access to, and that we don't have the power to actually connect to this and channel this on our own. It's to detach us from our own power.
Yeah, and of course there's been so many ways that we have been disempowered as human beings in this society. And I think this is, a remembrance of, wow, we are so much more powerful than we've been taught. I really want to dive into the practicality of this. Like, what is light language on a practical level so that we can tangibly understand it? So I would love for you to share, like, on a practical level, what is happening, and then I'll share what I think too.
Totally, yeah. To someone who has never heard light language or understood it, I'd say imagine it just as a healing modality. When practicing or receiving or experiencing this healing modality, you become a channel or a conduit for frequency, for energy. Now, we become channels and conduits for frequency and for energy when we do anything. When we play basketball, when we are writing, when we are making food and preparing dinner. We actually become conduits and channels of energy anytime we get into that flow, that trance energy where it just feels natural and things are just naturally aligning and happening. So to be in that state and then to surrender the part of you that judges, that has ego, and instead surrender to the presence of divinity, your truth, what you actually feel. It may sound so complex even as I'm saying it, but it's like, how do I explain the most simple thing possible?
Yeah.
It's like, who are you beyond the ego? If you stripped and released and ripped away all of the tragedies or the trials and errors or the mistakes whatever it is, that anything that you've ever identified as yourself with that is negative, releasing all of that and letting yourself just be the true essence. How do I explain like the simplicity, the truth of who and what you are? But essentially you become a conduit and a channel and allow for divine energy and frequency to move through you. And anyone who has spoken light language and channeled it knows and can attest to, you're not pretending. You're not forcing anything. When you feel light language and you actually align to that surrender and you let divinity move through you, it just moves through naturally.
Yes. You have such a gift for explaining things in a way that really remind us of our divinity and the spiritual essence of these topics. And I'll explain on like an even more like practical human level of what I feel. Please. So imagine that no English language or like human language that we speak had been invented yet, and we're our ancestors, you know, our Homo sapien ancestors trying to communicate with each other. Like, what would we do? You're just going to say sounds that you feel to try and communicate.
And emit sound, exactly.
Exactly. So to me, that's almost what light language, which is one word we're calling it, or one phrase we're calling it, but it's called other things too.
That is probably the best way I've heard it actually described practically, where yes, way back when, before we created specific definition per word, we still communicated message, we communicated feeling, we communicated emotion, but through sound. Through sound, not words, specific words, but through sound, through an energy. And that is exactly what light language is.
Totally. And that's why I feel that the evolution piece of the conversation is really interesting, because when we're in these states, to me, it feels like you're merging past and future into present.
Absolutely.
So it feels like I'm activating the ancient codes of what my ancestors used to do, and I'm activating these codes of like what the future version of the human, or what we're evolving to, is going to do, which is to communicate. Yeah, like we are potentially evolving to communicate beyond human language.
Oh girl, we know. We're so telepathic already.
And then moving to telepathy.
Exactly.
And then if you talk about how the extraterrestrial piece of this conversation comes in, it is that these ETs that, you know, people have encountered communicate telepathically.
Yes.
So now we're going very out there with this.
Yes.
But the more that you study this stuff, and you start to see the puzzle pieces coming together.
How much it makes sense.
How much it actually all makes sense. And so I'm really curious to dive deeper with you onto the topic of the cosmic, alien, extraterrestrial part of light language, because of course this video is titled, you know, how to speak this alien language, which in a way it's an alien language. So how do you see that coming into this?
Extraterrestrials communicate through telepathy. Light language is verbal telepathy, essentially, because we are communicating a message beyond definition. They're both the same thing. Light language is kind of like our version of telepathy that we can utilize here on Earth. As of right now, humans are programmed to communicate through sound and through action. So light language is that version of it. Light language has different dialects, can sound different, and even feel different, and can be purposed for different things based on the extraterrestrial consciousness that you tune into. So extraterrestrials, it's not just, oh, there are a bunch of aliens and they're all different and they're random.
Yeah, and I feel like it's important to note that there are many different species of aliens. Absolutely. It's like when it's talked about in the cultural zeitgeist and like the mainstream media, it's like the aliens. It's like, well, what if there's more than one, right?
Like, no, very like, which ones are you talking about? Because if you're talking about the ones who have had certain programs with the government and agreements with the government and have therefore been doing malicious things here on Earth and not really having any respect for human life in ways that other extraterrestrials do, then yeah, those aren't the greatest. And yeah, people have had scary abduction stories. And there have been things that where people haven't felt respect or they are afraid of extraterrestrials and aliens because of that. Those ETs, of course they exist, just like malevolent humans exist. It's the exact same thing. There's actually a higher percentage, though, of benevolent, positive extraterrestrials and aliens.
They care about
Exactly, that are here to actually support us along this mission of bringing Earth to a higher frequency consciousness. Because Earth, as a planet, is a part of the galaxy. In fact, Earth is ascending right now, and we're the only planet in this galaxy currently ascending. So we are front stage and center. It's funny, I have people ask me, why would aliens want to talk to us? We're stupid humans. Why would they come all this way just to talk to us humans here? Hilarious for thinking that. It's like, yes, but at the same time, Earth is actually being showcased right now. This is a major event. We all chose this lifetime and chose to come back to Earth at this specific time for a reason, because this is happening now. We are awakening to these new languages and having new understandings of them and connecting with different extraterrestrial species. Their life purpose is also to assist the ascension of humanity and the collective, because the galaxy becomes a higher frequency and vibration if Earth ascends. So it positively influences the whole galaxy as well.
wow. And what's interesting is the light language that came through me.
Yes.
I had not heard anything before. Like, I had heard you speak it, maybe like a few YouTube videos, but I barely listened to light language. So when it came through, it wasn't like I was copying anything. It was literally just like what felt the most true. But then I've heard other people's light language that sounds so similar to the one that comes through me. So I'm like, well, is there an origin to this? Like, is this just me expressing my voice through sound, or is there some type of origin of this specific dialect that is connected to my soul coming to Earth? Like, what's your thought on that?
Definitely. For example, there can be these robotic sounding light languages that I hear. Those definitely come from a specific origin, and those feel very Pleiadian and Arcturian in that way. Also can be very Syrian. There's different energies with it, where the deeper voices and the more earthy sounding are often more Syrian and more ancient. And it's really not even necessary to identify the specifics of your light language or the origins necessarily, because we are originated of many. It's most likely that you are not just from one planet and speaking just one language, but there are many, and that is actually what even goes into influence your specific light language, where it's someone who was born in Australia, then grew up in the UK, and now lives in America and spent some time in Japan. They have most likely an accent that is a combination of different dialects. And so what it could even be, the people that you sound similar to, they could have a certain DNA cosmic makeup as you.
That actually makes so much sense. I do believe that our soul is on a journey around this universe and going to different places, maybe having different lifetimes on Earth, having different lifetimes in other places out there, and that we would imprint all of these different experiences onto our soul, and then the expression of light language is literally all of that coming into one. So that analogy of different dialects of places that you may have lived on Earth influencing your speech, that really makes a lot of sense to me. I want to talk about, so some people would say this is basically like tongues in Christianity. And I did a whole video about miracle healings in the Christian church. And speaking tongues is a big part of that for those Pentecostal churches where the Holy Spirit then comes into the body and then they're speaking in tongues. And I feel that this is similar, but maybe a bit different. What are your thoughts?
It is different. It's similar in the sense that you are allowing for your body to be utilized as a conduit, as a channel for healing frequencies and for a vibration that is higher and more expanded than your current consciousness and frequency and vibration. And it's a divine essence that you are channeling through you. Often tongues is an energy of the Holy Spirit or a priest or Jesus or God, someone invoking. Usually it is a physical person, though, that invokes this. in church settings, it's kind of like this Holy Spirit comes over you. And it's almost, I don't like to use this word, especially in terms of Christianity, but almost like a possession where the energy is coming over and possessing you to speak and to express in this way. There's a different level of control, of no control with it. Whenever I've spoken to people who speak tongues or have watched videos of it, they do have very little control of themselves and of their human self, and it's just a surrender to divinity. Divinity, God's source, knows far beyond what we do in terms of what we need to heal, what needs to shift, what needs to clear out. So that's why it is necessary to give a higher power, your divinity, divine essence, permission to move through you. So it's very healing. But with light language specifically, you are intentionally invoking the energy and the essence. So the origin is just different in the sense where you are placing yourself as a conduit and as a channel to channel divine frequency and energy through you. And you can actually set intentions for, if you want it to be a blessing, an activation, a prayer, whatever it is. So essentially you're more involved when it's light language. And you, though you still do become a conduit and a channel, you can direct the energy and you are more present to what's happening usually.
That makes sense. Right, because in the Christian church and during these healings, their entire intention is to channel Christ's consciousness for healing.
Exactly.
So the tongues are a conduit for Christ's consciousness rather than your unique expression.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. When I did the video about miracle healings in the church, I heard story after story of these healings happening. And I was like, what is going on here? Because there's also like all sorts of weird shit going on in the Christian church, as there is in the spiritual community. Right. Like there's weird stuff going on everywhere.
As there is in the government, as there is in the food industry, as there is in the medical industry, as there is in the clothing industry, cosmetic, everything.
Like we just live in a plane of weird shit.
Polarized.
But when I was doing the video about the miracle healings, I heard story after story, and often in a Pentecostal situation, churches, there's the tongues is very present, and it's very, having been prayed over, it's a very hypnotic trance-like state that then you go into, even hearing tongues. Like I get ASMR where I get tingles all over my body, and it almost feels like when I listen to light language, like it's a hypnotic trance-like state that feels healing. And so it made sense to me that there were so many healings happening when people would be prayed over and when tongues would be channeled through. And what I really came to was like the hypnosis is a big part of this, and hypnosis is inherently the most healing state. Like if you actually look practically at brain waves, when we're in normal waking state, we're just in beta brainwaves. And then if you drop to alpha, that's the flow state. Like that's when you're like making music or playing a sport. And then theta is when you are in a hypnosis suggestible state where real deep rewiring of the brain can happen and deep healing can happen. So it makes sense that as you describe light language as a healing modality, that's what it's doing, because you're entering into those deeper theta brainwaves, which is how I feel when I'm speaking light language, which is why maybe tongues in a similar way has a healing effect.
Absolutely. And in that sense, if tongues is being utilized intentionally to be a healing and is a prayer over people like that, it's pretty much the same thing.
Wow. So I went to Instagram and I asked the Vibe Tribe to share some questions that they have about light language. This one is really good. How do you know if it's light language or just gibberish? Like, what if this whole time we're just speaking gibberish like little kids?
The frequency, that's the difference. It's felt. It's felt. And even initially, for some people, when they want to activate their light language, it's sometimes necessary to clear your channels by just saying words and almost forcing yourself to, especially if you aren't used to giving yourself permission to express authentically. It can be really difficult to just start speaking light language. So you may initially need to even speak gibberish make words where you know that your mind is instructing you to make these words. And once you do that, that will start to clear your channels to where you can actually start to feel, oh, why do these words feel good to say? Why am I feeling better while I'm saying these words? Okay, and then you start to just trust it. And once that trust comes through, then you start actually channeling light language. And so people know, like people know.
Yeah, I think that's one question that I had was, well, is this just some fancy gibberish?
Right. Right.
But it doesn't, it feels different. Because I could just start blah, 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 like talking gibberish, but it's not the same as when I feel like I'm in a trance state, speaking my language. How do you know what being or types of codes you are channeling?
You can tune in to, and of course ask at any moment, any point in time, your spiritual self, your spiritual guidance. If you want to clarify a question, you can ask any question at any time. So of course you could even just tune in and ask, what is this? What am I resonating with? And even if you don't get an answer right away, being open to the answer appearing. We as humans are so used to having this like immediate result and response in our reality. That's not how things work. In reality, yes, there is instant manifestation, but at the same time, it's called divine timing. That's actually what runs things. So you can, of course, ask, and then maybe you don't receive the answer, but then throughout the day, you see all these Pleiadian things, and things keep popping up, or someone mentions it, and then you just know. You just feel it. You can also, of course, research and see, oh, mine sounds like this person, and they're channeling Arcturian light language. Oh, mine sounds like this, and they're channeling this.
Is light language like what we actually feel expressed through sounds?
Exactly.
Pretty much
It's
that.
exactly it, yes. And it's even beyond what we can comprehend that we feel. So even subconsciously, what's been suppressed, it's an expression of that too.
We may have discussed this in the first video, but I think it's important to talk about it. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Say light language instead.
I know, right? I'm like,
human
I
words.
just need to stop talking human language right now. How did you start speaking light language?
It was natural for me. It came when I was younger, and I would just feel called to make these sounds and to speak this language. And there was a point where I had convinced all my friends at school that I spoke Chinese, 100% spoke Chinese because I'm so good at it. But it just felt so good to me to speak this language. And then my friends would want me to speak it. No joke, in like 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, they'd ask me to speak. They'd say, speak the language, speak the language.
Oh, wow.
I actually didn't know until later on, even just a few years ago, what I was speaking and what I was actually doing. I could tell that I felt better, and just like I feel better when I sing, when I belt it to a song, or when I dance full out to a song, I feel so good. I thought it was something similar to that, like, oh, I just love this form of expression, like when I play basketball or something. But then I started to realize, oh, people are more called to this and actually feel a frequency from it more than other things. This must be healing for others. And then I actually met someone who was like, you're speaking light language.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, I am. I looked it up and I was like, oh my God, there are other people doing this. That was my awakening, was a realizing that I'm not alone. Realizing that I wasn't alone and other people were doing this, and there was actually context and verbiage behind these things that I had been connecting to.
That's really interesting you say that, because when I posted the video that we did, I think you remember how terrified I was to release it.
Yes,
and I called you and I was like, I don't know if I can post this.
Yeah.
Like, this looks absolutely crazy. And you're like, trust me, people are going to connect with this.
The right ones will get it.
Yes. And when I posted it, I was absolutely blown away by how many people said, oh my gosh, this had been happening to me and I didn't know what it was.
Exactly.
And this was so emotional for me to watch, because now I feel like I'm not crazy or I'm not alone. And that was coming like floodgates, like people like commenting, emailing me, DMing me, like meeting people in real life saying like, oh my gosh, that video literally like awakened me, or it helped me remember this thing that I knew or what was questioning. So I feel like what's happening on the on planet Earth right now is this is happening. Like, people have been in the closet.
Yep.
I've been in the closet, like, in my own way.
We all have in our own ways.
I've been like almost in the spiritual closet in my own way, because I've been like expanding at this rate, but then I also want to be able to still like make sense and connect with people. So I'm sometimes afraid to like fully go there, but like I'm feeling it and it's happening. And I think so many people are experiencing that on Earth right now. And I think we all need to just like say it's okay. Like, we're all ready to be free and open about this. And like, don't be afraid to share it, because we're not alone.
We're not alone, and this is happening to everyone in their own different ways. And we're all learning. We're all new to this, and we're all ancient at the same time. Like, we're all a part of this. And I think that is one of the biggest things. Even as you were saying that, I got angel bumps, like blissies all over my body. Just feeling the frequency of that. I can even feel people resonating from these videos and from these messages, because we are all collectively connected. It's all of us. It's all of us.
Yeah. It's our evolution.
Yes.
I mean, come on. We're going places, humans.
Yep.
Hop on the train.
It's happening.
I know there will still be people who watch this and they're just so skeptical, or they just think this is not real and we're crazy. And we'll have reaction videos again. So yeah, what do you want to say to those people?
In divine time, it will all be understood. And until then, we'll enjoy.
Yeah.
So hopefully you are too. Like, join along whenever you're ready.
Yes. I think that's key, is like, we know
Exactly.
how this feels,
Exactly.
how much this has expanded our reality.
Yes.
And I want to keep expanding my reality.
Yep.
Why would I want to live a life where I have one mindset that I stick to for the rest of my life? No, I want to expand my reality.
Yes, and access your full potential and live to the fullest extent of your ability. It's just about who is willing to give themselves the most permission to look different and crazy while doing it. But for those who do, we know you benefit from it, and everyone around you also benefits from it too, truly. It's not just an individual benefit that we receive from it. Yeah. It is also collective. So yeah, to all of those, it doesn't really matter if other people don't get it, because we get it. Mm-hmm. We get it, and really that's all that matters. And eventually it'll all be known. It'll all be known eventually. So
Absolutely. Evolution's happening whether you like it or not.
you're not. If anyone making those videos, any of the reaction videos, please make them funny. Please make them funny so that like when I'm watching, we can be entertained by them too.
Right, like make me laugh.
Yeah,
at least.
Be clever.
If you're gonna
be like kind of witty or something.
I'm really excited that we're gonna be doing a live light language workshop where you are going to actually guide us in activating light language.
Yes.
So we're gonna share the details of that at the end of this video. But in the meantime, I'm really excited to actually get into an activation and speak, because it's been a while for me, a while as in a few weeks since my retreat. But my body's like, I need to speak right now. So we're gonna go into a portal, and what we're gonna do is actually see if we can translate what the other is saying. Yes. Which I've never done this before.
I'm excited. I've done it before, but not with someone who hasn't done it before.
Yay!
So we've been brewing a potion, a blue lotus tea for our activation.
It's a very ancient Egyptian herb, actually, where it was used to open the pineal gland, the third eye, way back when in ancient Egyptian times.
This will make you have lucid dreams, potentially.
Yep.
It's known to activate the pineal gland, whatever you want to call it, which is the part of the brain that lights up when people are having mystical experiences.
Right. When you actually release DMT from your third eye in certain experiences like life and death, and also spiritual experiences too.
Right. So the pineal gland is essentially the scientific name for the third eye.
Yes.
Let's open the third eye.
Woo!
Yes. Yay, Anima Mundi, thank you. I'm ready for this.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
We're ready. So to begin, we can actually start to just induce a trance-like state for ourselves by just breathing more slowly and even operating more slowly, allowing for things to arrive into your mind rather than seeking to think of anything. It's shifting the operational function, so feeling this unseen force that circulates within you, this life force energy that generates the inspiration, the motivation, the connection, any desires that you have, any abilities that you have. This energy, this essence, instructs and directs all of it. Now becoming more present physically. So this is where we'll start to maybe just like move your hands, move your shoulders. Yes, some intuitive guidance. Maybe making noises. I love to, and even very intentionally, start to move my jaw, opening the jaw, and letting yourself even just make sounds. Maybe sticking out your tongue and adjusting your shoulders, your neck, as you do so, to really open up the channel. Giving permission to the soul essence, the soul energy, letting the ego settle, letting it take a knee so that we can have heart, soul, and spirit direct the conversation, the embodiment, the energy, the essence, humming at different tones. Everyone at home, give yourself permission to hum through different tones, different spectrums of the tone. And as you feel called, continuing to hum, letting the sound start to develop. Letting words come out, express in whatever form they want to, not at all judging, but instead knowing that you are rewarded for authenticity. And as we are in this space, able to communicate and translate energy and essence into sound beyond words. Sky and I will be transmitting, channeling a light language back and forth, and we will be translating the message into English. We hold the message, we hold the knowing in our bodies, almost as if our cells are repeating the message as a mantra. And as we do so, giving permission, full free permission to the words, the sounds to just come out as they desire, understanding and knowing that the message will be translated through that. I'm excited. Would you like to go first?
Yes, something's coming through.
I feel you. She feels like she's purifying. She feels like she's purifying. She's bringing back this innocence, this love, this truth, the actual truth. How simple and pure and beautiful and sweet it actually is. Something of that context.
Yes. Yes. The innocence.
The innocence.
The essence of what you just shared is exactly what the transmission was the essence of the inner child and the innocence of the child being healing for the planet right now. And that's what we're doing, is playing like children when we're expressing this way.
Ooh, see, that is so powerful. I feel that, but even beyond you just saying, if you were to just say to me, we need to honor our inner children more. It's like, okay, those are great words, but the actual message of that is claim your innocence. Your innocence, you are pure right here, right now.
The purity.
The purity.
Yeah, that was like on point, actually.
Wow. See, that's so much more of a message I got from that than the words.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, your turn.
Oh, okay. Dwi ashwasi ampoase kiaswash. Arsikial ake kiaswamesh. It's aqua fisiti ashes. En saki atwashekia poas.
That was so strong. What I got was, it's time to remember who we are and to root and to ground into the knowing of who we are and who we came here to be.
Yes. You even said the word. I can cry, actually. You even said the word knowing. It's a knowing. Ground into the knowing.
It's really cool because it's like I got the essence, and we don't even have to translate it really into like, this is what it means word for word. It's like I understood exactly the essence of what you were transmitting.
Exactly. And how cool is that? Yeah, because the communication is beyond words, but we're also getting to acknowledge here by doing this, the understanding is beyond words. It's something far beyond something we can try to explain.
Yes.
Logically.
Desia kiashia ni sieta sietana ka sieta sietana ka sieta e sitia nasia shalana sakta kiashata kashana setia kana shakanyata lasia kata chishana kiasietiana esia nasia ka sietana boesia nasia ka si apiasi.
Your light language is so powerful. It really is. I'm like honored. I'm part of any of this. Yeah, I felt fucking clearing out the cobwebs there. Clearing and releasing, and almost like a collective clearing for humanity. Where it was like, we all need to let go of this.
Yes.
We all need to let go. Like, we are here.
Yes.
We are here.
That's exactly it. Humanity is ready to clear, and the emotions that need to be cleared have to be purged.
Have to be purged. Have to be like stripped. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
And coming back to the knowing and the purity once cleared, and that we're going through that process right now.
That's powerful. I felt that.
I think it's interesting and fun to use the body language to communicate whilst we're speaking, because then you can really get the essence. And I think that's so much a part of, to me, light language is like, my body has to move when I'm speaking it. It's like I could sit here and just say it, but it doesn't feel as resonant as when I like move my body with.
Let's see, this will be a specific, kind of like a specific message. Oh, it's visiante kiaswash. It's ashwa viase kalakianwa. Amwase ats ashwa kiatesh. Ats ofoko puase te ashwa miasek. Oh, it's she aqua si te shafwam. It's out. Yeah.
What I got was, like, it's a gift and honor to share presence together, and remember your sacred body and your beauty.
Because I'm trying not to explode while you're saying it, but you said both the words, the specific words. Yes.
Wow.
Yes, it's such an honor to experience this with you and to share this with you. And then it was, remember how beautiful you are in every way, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Like, remember your beauty.
Wow.
Let yourself just shine the beauty.
Yeah.
You got it.
Oh my gosh. I feel that message, I almost was like, oh, like I want it to be for them, because like I'm personally uncomfortable receiving
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
That's so like, yeah.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
And you are so beautiful. You are so beautiful. You are shockingly beautiful. It's inspiring to others. It makes others more beautiful just to look at you, just to feel your beauty. It makes them more beautiful.
It made me cry.
Truly.
Thank you so much for being the catalyst for this, because this has offered me so much freedom and liberation and healing, and you are the catalyst for this happening. So thank you so much. Wow. This is so fun. Like, I want to do this all the time. Like, let's just talk in light language. We'll have phone calls in light language. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. This was amazing.
So grateful.
So in the video description, I'm gonna put information about the live light language workshop that Heather's going to come and lead for the Vibe Tribe. If you're watching this in the month of March, you will likely be able to come to the live workshop, but if not, we're going to put the recording or how to access the recording in the video description. So all the info will be down there, and I can't wait to do this as a community.
Yes.
That's what it's all about.
Yes, I feel like the community is ready. The people are ready. People are absolutely ready.
They've been ready.
Souls are craving this.
Craving it.
In every way, souls are craving to be authentic, so this is it.
Yes. Okay. Well, that's it for this episode of Skylife. We love you. We love you. Love.
We all have to pass someday. We all have to pass away.